Back at Sandown, it's round 3 of the Fujitsu V8 Supercar Series. Race 2, the top 10 inverted from race 1, and that gives Grant Denyer and Jay Vernick the front row of the grid, and race 1 winner Steve Owen has to come from 10th.
I like the whole concept of this reverse top 10. It's going to make for some really exciting racing and generally a little bit of carnage.
Jeff Emery starting from 19th has had a recent productive test as he and Tony Bates come to grips with V8 Supercars. Jack Perkins starting from position 26. That's a long way to come from here at Sandown.
Jack will be the one to watch. He's had plenty of pace in that Mack track car all weekend.
He's second in the championship coming into this weekend. It's critical for him to keep on working his way through and pick up some points. But Grant Denyer has decided to go for his best tyres for this second race. So let's see what the Mad Dog can do from pole alongside the GAO Commodore, row 2, Marcus Zukanovic and Michael Trimble, who makes a solid start in the Global Jet Commodore. But it's Denyer charging away from the field on the run to turn 1, and there's a lot of time down this Brock straight to sort out the order before the first corner.
Looks like the call that the Denyer team made to go onto his good tyres has helped him off the line there.
Now, this is where it's critical for the fast guys coming through to be very, very careful. Grant Denyer leading the way, Michael Trimble in second, Jonathan Webb's through in a third spot, and this is where it's really easy to trip over one another. Especially
first lap into turn 2 there. Very, very chaotic, and the whole field has done a great job to get through there incident-free.
The run down the long back straight towards the S's, and Trimble starting to apply the pressure to the Falcon that's run by former series regular Matthew White, in car with Marcus Zukanovic, who loses a spot to the charging Steve Owen, but Denyer wide on the exit of Dandenong Road, but he manages to pick it back together.
Yeah, very interesting that there. It looks like he just locked the rears a little bit into Dandenong Road, which has pushed him wide, but he's got the run into turn 12 there.
Trimble arguing the point. He'll slot back into second place, really benefiting from more and more time in these cars in his first year in the Fujitsu Series, but now he's under fire from Jonathan Webb in the Stone Brothers Falcon. Denyer has got them lining up for him.
And I tell you what, this is a great pressure situation here for Denyer. We'll see how this unfolds, but at the moment he's holding himself very, very well.
Now Canto slips on through on Marcus Zukanovic. It was announced during the week that he won't be driving with Paul Dumbrell in the Autobahn Commodore. It'll be his rival David Reynolds who'll take that seat, allowing Marcus to focus on his Fujitsu Series campaign. But look at these two. Owen and Canto are flying through the field.
And look at Marcus Zukanovic here, playing it smart and just following them through.
And have a look at this. He's looking across. It's going to be a fight to the top of the hill. Zukanovic on the inside, and look at this. Dale Wood now going for the ride too.
Geez, that's brave, being hung on the outside there.
Trimble hitting the curb. That's a real no-no in these cars because that's the unweighted tyre and it makes it so hard to stop.
And we end up seeing exactly what happened. Inside wheel lock, running wide.
Now he's under fire. Jonathan Webb sneaks up the inside, and that move will slow them both down. Steve Owen goes around. Now, I'm not sure if there was contact there, but it was a real concertina back through those cars.
Yeah, that's all flow-on effect from the incident that Trimble had at Dandenong Road. He slowed up the field. Steve Owens tried to capitalise and ended up spinning.
And all of that has allowed Denyer just to sneak away. Webb second, Trimble third. Here's the replay from in-car with Zukanovic. Was a really tough one for Dean Canto. It was all happening right in front of him, but it just looks like there's a small touch as the car just started to get sideways.
I don't think those boys should be leaving the circuit too early tonight, that's for sure. The stewards will have a look at that.
Now Jack Perkins, if race 1 wasn't bad enough, race 2's over. He's going to send that car behind the wall. We're hearing from pit lane that there's an engine drama. Zukanovic now has got Canto firing up the inside. Zukanovic's fresh back from a trip to the United States where he actually tested a Grand National West car at Irwindale Speedway in California. So yet another Australian making eyes to moves towards the United States. But for the meantime, he's got enough to keep him busy in the Fujitsu Series. Here's Tim Slade with backing from Autopro this weekend, just behind that group. But all of this has really allowed Grant Denyer to have a clear run, but again, Webb and Trimble closing.
And I said we'd keep an eye on Grant's performance earlier on to see how he's coping. And I would say at the moment he's coping very, very well. All the pressure is on him.
Webb in second. Trimble is third.
I would actually say that Grant looks very comfortable there in the Summit Fleet Leasing Falcon. He's just keeping it tidy. He's got Webby there behind him, and now Trimble's on the back of Webby. So this is going to be a really good battle for the lead.
Back in car with Marcus Sukanovic on the run down the back straight in the X. Garth Tander, Toll HSV Commodore.
What'll be interesting here is you just heard Marcus get onto the rev limiter up the back straight there. There's quite a sizable speed difference between the VZ and the VE. The VZ is a lot slipperier car in the straight line, and we're seeing it here at Sandown.
Back under the bridge. This is the final complex of turns, which it's critical to get this right because it governs your speed down the Brock Straight.
And there's a couple of different variations on how people come out onto this main straight. You'll notice then Marcus didn't use the concrete on the exit. Depending on how the car's set up, will allow you to either use it or not.
There's this fantastic long grandstand at Sandown to the driver's right, and it's hard on the brakes.
Sixth gear, back to third here for turn one. No curb on the inside, and hard on the gas for the run down to turn two.
And the bumps here through this next section, they're critical.
You look how hard Marcus is working through here. Well, actually, he didn't use as much curb as I was expecting him to. In our cars, we're using a lot of curb. He looked very smooth, actually.
Marcus Sukanovic pushing on, race 2 of the Fujitsu V8 Supercar Series. Back at Sandown, you're watching race 2 in round 3 of the Fujitsu V8 Supercar Series, and Marcus Sukanovic under real fire here. Dale Wood goes on by at turn 1, and David Reynolds, who is fresh from his first V8 podium at Wakefield Park, he's lining up now for a piece of the action too.
Yeah, they're in similar equipment here, Dave Reynolds and Marcus Sukanovic, so it'll be interesting to see what the outcome of this is. Dale Wood is doing a very good job in that Greg Murphy Racing A&I helicopter Commodore. He's a fast little peddler, and I think we're going to see a lot of good results from him this year.
He finished third in the season opener in Adelaide, and then had a shocker at Wakefield Park. Was one of all of those cars caught up in that serious accident in race 3. Now Denyer under real fire. Jonathan Webb, Michael Trimble and Dean Canto are all lined up, and we're only at half race distance.
Yeah, Jonathan Webb's got his lights on there. He means business. He's in a big hurry to get past Grant.
And Denyer defensive at turn 1. He knows that they're coming for him.
Look at this, we've got Canto buying into this battle as well.
And the equipment here is impressive. Webb, ex-Stone Brothers Falcon, run by Marcus Ambrose, still run by the SBR team. Michael Trimble, ex-Perkins Engineering Commodore, run by Marty Brand's independent race cars that have won this championship. And Dean Canto in a Howard Racing ex-888 Falcon. That's why they got so close. He was really lucky there to get away with that.
Just a rear brake lock up there going into turn 11. Happens regularly, but Grant grabbed hold of that by the scruff of the neck and pressed on.
He's just got himself a little bit of breathing space, but Webber's got speed, fresh from a recent test at Queensland Raceway where both he and David Bernard shared some time in this car, as well as in the Championship Series cars of James Courtney and Shane Van Gisbergen. But Denyer's been able to stem that tide. He looks to have enough pace with those new tyres in this race. Now, a replay down at Dandenong Road. Jay Verdnick going around. He rejoins, but it looks like that those new tyres have been able to give Denyer that little bit of a break that perhaps he doesn't have in terms of the performance of his car. More mistakes at turn 1. That is one of the Tag Motorsport cars going off the road. Jeff Emery, the former Commodore Cup champ, coming to grips with the Fujitsu V8 Supercars, but you can see there on the windscreen, the weather has now had its say, and it could really change things around here as it starts to sprinkle.
I think this is a very clever move by the Matt White Racing guys to put Denyer on his best tyres for this race. It's a great opportunity for him to win it, and he's playing with a really level head here. I'm impressed by the guy.
He'll drive with Michael Patrizzi in the Ford Rising Stars team for the Phillip Island and Bathurst endurance races. He's driving in the Mini Challenge. He's leading that championship, so He's doing more miles this year than he's probably ever done in his racing career, and it's really starting to show.
I actually saw Grant running from his Mini to jump in his Falcon for this Fujitsu race. Very good to see.
Canto lined up right in behind Trimble. He's trying to fight back in the championship after a pretty difficult start. Let's not forget, he's a two-time series champ. He's the only driver who's won 2 championships in this series. He was 22nd in Adelaide, 5th at Wakefield Park. He desperately needs points, and knowing that Steve Owen's a little bit further back, that will help.
And we just saw Michael Trimble giving Jonathan Webb a little hurry up onto the back straight there. Great to see from these young chargers.
This run over the hill through the S is one of the best corners in Aussie motor racing.
For sure. 5th gear, really, really fast. It doesn't look that quick, actually, when we see it on the TV, but I tell you, from sitting in the driver's seat, that's a really, really quick corner.
Here's a replay at turn 1. That's Sam Walter in one of 3 Greg Murphy Racing Commodores, and that's Jeff Emery firing off the road in what is an ex-Mark Scaife chassis. This is Aaron McGill, who is now in a Commodore. This is an ex-Garth Tander chassis, and he's got a serious problem there as it spears off the road. Almost looked like maybe he had a partially stuck throttle because he was trying to get that car and angle it straight into the sand before it went too much further.
Very strange looking, Aaron. You don't see that too often down into there. Little nip up of the inside wheel, but not like that.
Trimble through on Webb. So now it's his turn to have a go at our race leader, but there's only a matter of 3 laps left to go, and Dean Canto hasn't been able to get by these guys, and if anything, he's just losing some time to Dale Wood and David Reynolds.
Very difficult place to pass at Sandown, and as we see a little bit of rain on the screen up the back straight there, that'll be playing into the minds of these guys. They'll be seeing the same thing on their windscreens, and they'll be just thinking 3 to go, need to get to the end.
You'll notice those marker cones at turn 6 on the run through the S's. They have to stay away from them because the officials don't like when you start knocking those back.
No, you get one warning, Aaron, one and one only, and then they'll give you a black flag. Let me tell you, they're very quick onto it.
Denya hanging on in race 2. Trimble, Webb, Canto, these are guys with lots of experience, and Denya is leading them at the moment. 3 to go at Sandown. He's been on a podium before in this series, back when he drove for Nick Johnson Racing, but he hasn't won a race. Now Webb makes a dive on Trimble at turn 1.
And this is all great news for Denya. He's just skipping away here as these guys battle it out for the minor placings.
Carl Reindler through on Marcus Zukanovic.
Very, very clean move. Oh, we see Trimble just getting the back hanging out onto the back straight.
And look at this, Dale Wood and David Reynolds have both caught these guys, and Canto is losing touch with both Denya and Webb.
And that's all comes back from the moment that Trimble had coming onto the back straight. He's slow out onto the straight, and now Canto's all over him. Let's see what happens here.
A recent test at Winton looks to have really helped Trimble as he tries to get more experience in V8 supercars. He's done so much in Formula Ford and Formula 3 and Carrera Cup. Reindler makes a mistake, a small lock-up, and he loses a spot 2 to Mark McNally.
Michael Trimble, he's a guy that's worthy of an endurance drive. Out of the top 6 or 7 in the development series, he's the one guy that doesn't have an endurance drive at the moment, and I think he's been doing a great job all year.
Here's Dale Wood, a man with an endurance drive. He'll drive with Sprint Gas Racing alongside Mark Noski come Phillip Island and Bathurst. A gap back here to Zukanovic. Mark McNally in a car that's run from the Brad Jones Racing Workshops in Albury. That's another of the ex-Holden Racing Team cars. I think there's more cars for the Holden Racing Team in this field than they have even in their own workshop. But here is Steve Owen with the windscreen wiper working away. He is way back in this field.
It's been a good comeback by Steve Owen. That happened pretty early on in this race, and he dropped a long way back. But you see him with the lights on, the wipers on, and he's charging really, really hard. Good to watch.
Sam Walter diving up the inside of young Damien Assailor, who's had Jason Bright drive this car at a test at his home track at Oran Park, and just trying to come to grips with things. He really is struggling with qualifying, getting the most out of the car. Back up front, Dean Canto is not in among these guys. That's Colin Cedars in the sand. Now, this might tell the story of what's going on. Webb running wide, Canto running wider.
I think you'll find that that's a cause of the rain that's just starting to come. It's not pouring down yet, but it'll just be making the circuit a little greasy for these guys.
This is Colin Cedars, his first run in a BA. This is the spare Brightech car that Alan Gurr raced in Irwin colours last year, but the last lap at Sandown, and Denya hanging on. They go by the limping Falcon of Jonathan Bykoff. Trimble's got closer, but with the way these conditions are, it's so difficult now to step offline.
And Denya, really, he's played this with a cool head, hasn't he? He's had a lot of pressure on him. He's skipped away a little bit more pressure, but he's held in and he's looking the goods.
2 turns to go in race 2.
Hey mate, keep it tidy.
Yellow flag on display. No passing opportunity there. So basically, if he doesn't make a mistake here, he's home and hose. Grant Denya is going to get his first V8 Supercar win.
Well done.
I don't need to say anything, that says it all.
Grant's clearly very excited there.
There's his dad, Craig, Matty White.
And Glenda McCourt from Summit Fleet Leasing there. They're all very happy, aren't they?
That's fantastic stuff. He's broken through for his first win, Grant Denya, clear of Michael Trimble. A great drive from the youngster. Denya's still talking. Jonathan Webb in third from David Reynolds. Dale Wood in fifth, and Jay Verdnick managed to recover and round out the 10. Steve Owen back in position 11. But the happy man is the winner, Grant Denya.
Grant, what a race. They threw everything at you, but you held on.
Oh, look, it's a reverse grid race, so you can't get too excited about a win, but can I?
Yes, you can.
It's the first race we've won, so, you know, I'm a little chuffed for a year that we only patched together and the elements come down, so some corners you're sliding off and overrunning and they're tapping you from behind, but finally...
There was some moments there where both Trimble and Webb were giving you a bit of a tap. There was some nerve-wracking moments here in the pits. What was it like in the car?
Well, in these conditions where it's raining in a couple of corners and not the others and it changes each lap, you're a bit of a pioneer every time you go around not knowing where the rain's going to be, how late to brake or not. So I think they were kind of following my lead, hoping I'd spear off, and I nearly did, but we kept it together, and this has been 14 years in the making to finally win a V8 Supercar race. So thanks to my family and Summit Fleet Leasing for believing in me, and let's hope there's a few more to come.
Happy scenes down in the Denya camp, but not so in the Tintercar squad, where Steve Owen ended up being spun all the way back to position 11 in this incident with Dean Canto at the final turn.
Yeah, I thought Dean probably could have done a bit better than that, to be honest. It looks like Dean's going to get a penalty for that, so it doesn't help us, but sort of just damages both of our championships, really.
Plenty of action in race 2 of the Fujitsu V8 Supercars at Sandown. Let's see what they've got in store after the break when we start race 3.